Hey YouTube. I really did a lot of research before I went out and bought this mower. I think I bought this actually in the winter of 2019, if I remember right. So it's a few years old. Been a really good mower. We have a little over 4 acres here. I just got done mowing. Took me right at 4 hours. I have a lot of things that I mow around. I get a good cut out of it. I have not cleaned it yet. I will blow it off before I put it back up for the day. But I wanted to make a video because when I was looking to see whether I wanted to go with a Ferris, I wanted a Skag, I've owned some commercial Cub Cadets and some residential Toro mowers previously before I had this one. I found a lot of glowing reviews about this thing, but I was still left with answers that I was like, man, I really wish I would have known that. Because what I did is I bought the ZT Elite. As far as the way I understand it, it has some commercial features, but is really more of a high-end residential mower with those commercial features, which I believe that it is. And so I'm 3-4 years in at this point. Like I said, I bought it in the winter, so the first year really wasn't a big deal. We've got a little over 70 hours. Hopefully that comes through. 73.7. We've got a Kawasaki FR730V. I can't say enough about this engine. The engine has been absolutely fantastic. Very happy with that. Very happy with the cut. Fuel economy is really pretty good on it. It definitely cut my mowing time in half for our 4 acres with the amount of trees and different things that I need to mow around. So what are my concerns and why would I buy it again or why would I not? For the money, I would absolutely buy it again. It is also got some downfalls that I'm really not super happy with, and not a ton of them. We have bushings for a suspension or basic suspension. When you look at like the Ferris, I think they probably have one or if not the best ride out there on the market. We did go with a 60-inch cut. 60-inch saved me a bunch of time. I'd really like the 72. I think that may be next. Seat's fairly comfortable. It doesn't breathe as good as I would have hoped. You have the ventilation there, and that does help, but when you're out here baking, it definitely, I think there are some better seats out there. There's a little bit of suspension in that seat, and I think you can upgrade that as well. The seat does flip up for nice serviceability here, so you can get good access and do a lot of it yourself. You can see this is the suspension portion that I'm talking about. I do write all my services on the bottom there so I can remember it, and if anybody ever ends up with this mower and I do trade up at some point, we can do that and kind of what I've done and when I did it. I want to pay attention to this Reaper tread or this tread design here. That is probably the thing that I would trade up the most for. While we're here, I'll just kind of show you underneath here. I know that all needs to be blown off, and it will before I get done. You can see it's green, so I just got done mowing with it. But going back to that Reaper tread there, as you can see, I have the basic tires, and they're a little bit smaller than the next step up, which is the first commercial version of these mowers, which is a Maverick or a Maverick HD. Now, I have a good buddy of mine who just got one. I'm hoping, and I think I'll be able to use it and compare and contrast. Had I known that, I definitely think I would have bought the next one up. I'm real happy with this, but I think the cost difference at that point in time was less than $1,000. They also have a ROPS bar, which is, a safety protection or rollover protection bar. It holds a little over 5 gallons of fuel just on this one side. The fuel tank is much bigger at the top than it is the bottom, and some of this may be obvious for people out there, but this is information that I wanted when I was looking for one, so I would have made a better choice. So what I mean by that is it takes forever for it to come off full, but once it comes off full and it gets down to this area here, if you're 4 acres into the other corner of our property and it runs out of fuel, you're going to be walking back there for it. So you got to keep an eye on it. It does have a nice fuel gauge that's fairly accurate there. You can see good controls. I do really like, and for us with trees and roots, that pedal there allows me to raise and lower the deck very quickly on the fly and not make a big adjustment. It does have the dial adjustment. The controls and the hydraulics are fairly responsive. I think there's probably better ones out there, but this isn't the highest end mower, so I'm not trying to beat it up. My biggest concern is it doesn't turn well in slick, or, you know, even if the grass is a little bit damp. Now, I know somebody out there is going to be like, you're not supposed to mow in the rain. We're not talking about that. Like even a little bit of dew, or if you're mowing the ditches where you're in a you know, a fairly good incline, I'm hoping that the Maverick Reaper tread will do more of what I'm looking to do. But I'm mainly making this video hopefully to help somebody out there get a real view. I'm not a commercial lawn care company, and so I didn't want to buy a $12,000 mower. I think I gave about $5,500 for this one, like I said, 2019 or 2020. So I've had it several years. I'm still very happy with the purchase, but if I could do it over again, I should have bought probably the next version up. I'm not sure if I can get that in a 72-inch deck, but if I could, our property's fairly flat. I would like the extra width on the deck just to save me a little time. But this is kind of my take after using this for several years. The only breakdown or failure that I've had with it so far, and this was really kind of self-inflicted, I figured out later. So right here, these two white wires come and basically create voltage, and they send it into here, which has probably got a rectifier bridge and voltage regulator in it, and then it sends out DC voltage on that red wire there. So I ran into a situation where I was going through batteries, and I'm sure the first one just gave out on me. And then I used a jump box, and I jump started it, and I kept having battery problems. And now this is not a reflection on on Kawasaki or Bad Boy, but I ended up finding a burnt spot that you could actually physically see. There's another video on the channel about it. That was a huge problem right there, and so that's what was eating my batteries up. So on these two white wires, they should have a minimum of 30 AC, alternating current volts, with the engine running at operating RPM, revolutions per minute. This one should always have battery voltage on it all the time. So it goes from AC voltage to DC voltage, and it regulates it all right there. So careful jump starting these mowers. You really should trickle charge them if the battery goes dead, and that will save you a lot of problems. Now that was about a $50 part if I remember right. I got a Kawasaki factory part, 2 screws, super easy to install. 1 screw there, 1 screw right there, boom, in good shape. So that's kind of the only failure I've had in the last 3-4 years. Been a good mower, pretty happy with it. If I could do it over again, or if I get the opportunity to trade up, I probably will. But I hope this information maybe helps somebody choose the right mower for them, because choosing the right piece of equipment is extremely important.